primetime Poulton, keep it entertaining. You already know when outworking everybody and he don't ever quit. Talking about plenty comics like Graveyard Shift, Sea Dog, Spiking Wolf, U.S. Assassin, doing just what he loves. This is his passion. Bring more value to your dollar. No, I'm not fronting. That's how just a writer became a moral compass. This is primetime Poulton. This is primetime Poulton. Let's go. It's all about the boom. TMC, baby. Hey, it's all about the boom. Cowboy Phil, baby. It's Cowboy Phil. Hit him with the body slam, elbow drop. TMC, Cowboy Phil, laid pot guys. What you see in the ring are two monsters. Energy of a king and of a rock star. Yeah, drop kick, probably make your heart stop. You ain't ready, super scary, and they staying on top. Hit a ding ding, better watch yourself. It's TMC and Cowboy Phil. Late pot guys, yeah, they the real deal. It's TMC and Cowboy Phil. 2 times a week, you can't compete. They body slam you down, now you taste the beat. The champions, they legendary, nobody like them. Coming for the belt, yeah, they coming for the title. Hey, it's all about the boom. TMC, baby. TMC, baby. Yeah. It's all about the boom. Cowboy Phil, baby. Let's go. Cowboy Phil, baby. Hey, 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 yeah, let's go.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Happy Sunday. It's the Moral Compass, Mark Poulton. With me, as always, the Cowboy, Phil McNulty. What's up, Phil?
I am just surviving through my final stretch of grad school. It has been killer. I couldn't even make it to Wizard World this year. So I had a table all set, but alas, could not make it.
I'm sorry to hear that, Phil. So I see you're wearing your Phillies gear. I'm wearing my Phillies gear. I was at the game yesterday. Good game to be at yesterday.
Hey, Gene Segura just hit a home run, so it's 4-1 on the Pod Phils.
All right, they're making a comeback. Oh, we got 24 eyes with us. What's up, 24 eyes? He has the Al emoji up, which, you know, great segue. Let's talk about it, Phil. Black Al just passed $13,000. I think late last night, and we're already climbing up, getting closer to 14,000. At 15,000, all backers get a Golden Age Blackout trading card. So I'm excited. There's only 17 days left in the campaign. Definitely pre-order the book if you haven't yet. Book is basically done, just needs to be lettered, and it'll be off to the printer very quickly. So I expect maybe my fastest turnaround time ever on a book, Phil. And I get these projects fulfilled pretty quick. So that's saying something.
The Fulfillment King.
The one and only. My featured tier, the Blackout 4-pack. That's where you get Greg Paulson's cover, the sweet Shelby Robertson cover, plus the black and white edition that also has Shelby's line art. And then my script book, which is my script, some black and white illustrations by Greg, and then this beautiful S. Clark Hall Barker cover, and it's going to be a foil cover. I love me my foil covers, Phil.
You know, I was just thinking, did Barker work in Alpha Flight back in the 90s?
He may have. I know him from Nomad. But I think he might be right. I think he was a Alpha Flight artist as well.
Because I was thinking about it just the other day, thinking about like Puck smoking a cigar, because I was trying to talk about how nobody smokes in comic books anymore and the reason why. Yeah. And when I talked about Puck, I was like, wait a second, I think Barker worked on some Alpha Flight.
I think you may be right. Oh, we got Nicotronus in the house. What's up, Nicotronus? Hail to you. And you know what? Let's play the trailer for people, Phil. And then we'll get into some wrestling talk. there you have it. Black Al, only 17 days left, Phil. Time's flying. It feels like we've just launched this a couple days ago. You're muted, Phil.
I feel like it's instead of going day by day, it's going week by week at this point when it's just coming to time. So yeah, it does feel like yesterday.
Yeah, and you know what? Besides the that sweet book, there's also a wrestling buddy available, and Slam Buddies actually sent me a picture of it the other day. Can you see it, Phil?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Is it a keychain as well? I thought I saw one with a keychain.
Yep. There's a mini version of it that's a keychain. So if you don't want to, splurge and get the full size, you can get a little mini one for $15. But yeah, this is awesome. Really excited about this. They're in the mail, so I should receive them any day. But yeah, get the book, get the wrestling buddy, and just have a great night, Phil.
Hey, I think you know what? I think there may be a whole haunted pizza wrestling buddy
Line. Oh yeah.
federation coming together.
I'm already working on my next one. 6 a.m. says he's going to buy the buddy and wrestle it on a live stream. So I'm sure he'll need the rest of the Breaking Rad crew to win.
Yes.
So, Phil, last time we talked, we gave our WrestleMania predictions. I was wrong about a lot of stuff.
I think I don't even remember what I predicted, but I'm sure as we go through the card, I will certainly remember.
Before we get into the card, can we talk about some other things first? I'm going to throw some topics out.
I feel like this episode of the Pod Gods is a This Week in Wrestling episode because just so much happened since WrestleMania between WWE, between AEW and ROH and our of course our personal favorite Impact. It just seems like everything has happened this past WrestleMania week.
Let's talk about the talk of the internet right now. Wheeler Yuta. When this guy first appeared, I was like, why are they putting this guy on my TV? And you know what it is? It's who they paired him up with.
Mm-hmm.
Best friends. That whole group is just. I'm sorry. I like Trent. I like Orange Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
But all of them as a collective are just, I don't know, a waste of time, I think.
You know, back into the origin of Best Friends, when it really was Chucky T and Orange Cassidy, and then because Orange didn't want to go overseas, that Chuck Taylor teamed up with Trent and formed the Best Friends that sort of made their way into the public eye. And I think, there's a lot to say about Chuck Taylor's shirt during the segment on Dynamite that is exactly to your point. He had a face of himself, Trent, Orange, Statlander, and Wheeler. And there's just, you can't be best friends and have 5 different people involved. I think what we saw here on Wednesday was the slow, heel turn. I think Orange will probably be out. And I think we saw a little more aggressiveness from Chuck Taylor. We definitely saw it on Rampage against Bryan Danielson. And Trent, who's told Wheeler that he just doesn't like him.
Well, I don't know. I think it may have been a segment on being the elite. But months ago, when Trent returned, he said he got some new gear made and it represents all the best friends. And he was like, this orange is for Orange Cassidy. This star or whatever is for Statlander. And then there was a pile of shit. And he said, Wheeler, this represents you. But my opinion on Wheeler Yuta has changed, 1,000%. I think this guy's awesome now. And it's because who he's paired up with. He's doing a program with Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, John Moxley, William Regal, and he's being portrayed as a complete badass.
Right. As opposed to going up against a team where there are a bunch of goofballs.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I think he was just. We knew this. He was really miscast. He could not. He has no. No offense to Wheeler, but he just doesn't have the charisma on the mic to lend yourself to be the characters that best friends are. That's just wrestling 101. And now we get to see where he's actually involved with wrestlers who wrestle the same style as he does, who wrestle with the same intensity, the same violence. And William Regal's just the perfect mouthpiece for him. It was good stuff on Rampage. Probably the only episode of Rampage I can say I really enjoyed.
I have one critique of Wheeler Yuta, and I want to see if you agree with it. His gear has got to go.
Oh,
that
yeah.
gear is terrible.
No, he looks like. And then if you even see him compared to Bryan Danielson and John Moxley, just the ring gear those two wear, it's probably going to get that change either on Wednesday or Friday, wherever they pick the story up.
Yeah, I don't know. Just give him some like regular tights or some MMA, tights, boxers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, his ring gear is terrible. One little thing that I thought was almost lost on Rampage afterwards, after like Regal shook his hand and they started walking off, he wrote Blackpool Combat Club or BCC on his chest in blood. I thought that was pretty badass.
You know what? He's got his own T-shirt now. Just imagine that, BCC in blood. It's almost. I was watching it. I was getting caught up earlier today, and it just made me think that AEW is on the cusp. I think they're finally figuring out how to balance two shows, where to, like Ricky Starks already said, well, I will see you on Wednesday on Dynamite. They're starting to figure out how to use the talent and how to balance that talent effectively. Now they just got to, I think the big criticism on AEW is, how do you build storylines that just go past you, me in the ring? And I think that's where they're on the cusp of slowly starting to get there, because they're really missing that Chris Jericho. And I mean, to just kind of pull it back to say that Chris Jericho today is probably in the Triple H position that H was in Evolution, where he's no longer there to just win championships. He's there to further stories. So you don't have a guy like a Chris Jericho, during that period that can carry matches and carry storylines. And I think that's where AEW has to develop next.
Yeah. So hats off to Wheeler Yuta. Looks like AEW created a new star, and man, he bled buckets, Phil.
I mean, that was a great visual of seeing the reversal of him reverse the chokehold on Moxley with that Crimson Mask. That was old school.
And Mox, hats off to Mox. He had no problem biting Wheeler's forehead as he's spilling blood out of his head. But that's one thing I wanted to touch on. Another thing, besides WrestleMania, there was a ton of great shows that weekend. Did you happen to watch the Ring of Honor show?
I did.
Do you see FTR versus Briscoes?
I have to tell you, I think this is what I was going to touch upon too when it comes to AEW. FTR as a face was better than FTR as faces against the Bucks was better than their original encounter. I didn't think that would work.
Right.
And then seeing them against the Briscoes play heel is just fantastic to see within a week. And man, the Briscoes, they're going to be on AEW soon. They are so ready.
I don't think they are. Oh. I don't think TBS or TNT is going to allow them, because you know where the Briscoes' next destination is, Phil. Impact Wrestling.
Do you think they're going to let them have that deal? Or, I mean, because technically ROH is owned by AEW, who's and RH is currently having their Invasion storyline.
Well, here's the thing: everyone on Ring of Honor's roster was released. Tony had basically all of his guys with the exception of Gresham, win the belts. Briscoes are free agents. And I believe Tony Khan was told he can't hire the Briscoes because of things Jay Briscoe said in the past.
Really?
Yeah. So it looks like the next destination for the Briscoes is Impact Wrestling.
I mean, Impact's where it's at right now. I mean, the
Yeah.
Honor No More. Do you think they're coming as Honor No More, or do you think they're just coming in as themselves to just?
I think
kick
they'll come
everyone's
in
ass?
as the big babyface team that battles the Good Brothers.
All right.
And we actually saw this at another one of the weekend pay-per-views I wanted to talk about, matches from the multiverse Impact's pay-per-view, and that was main evented by the Good Brothers versus the Briscoes. Good Brothers got the victory with help by Jay White. And I thought that was a pretty good pay-per-view. I think the highlight for me was Jay White versus Chris Sabin. I don't know if you got to see the match.
I did, and if you have not seen Multiverse of Matches, you missed out on Impact Wrestling this week, and maybe they'll do it again next week. But they were playing matches from the Multiverse of Matches that really furthered storylines, which was just kudos on them for realizing, you know what, even though we had to have this sort of premium content, we can still be faithful to our fans who don't pay for that premium content to still see it. Impact is slowly, I think, starting to learn how to work with the fan base that they have and how to bring in more of the hardcore. I think they're slowly trying to build up an ECW feel to them. And I think being at the 2300 arena does capture that spirit on tape.
So 24 Eye says he doesn't think AEW will sign them because they have Christian views on homosexuality. And he says AEW doesn't deserve them. Yeah, that's some of the comments that I was alluding to. So yeah, it doesn't look promising for the Briscoes' future in AEW. But hey, AEW's loss is Impact's gain.
At what point do we, I think we lost Scott Hall, right? RIP to the bad guy. But when is there a point where we start saying to ourselves, I don't know about this one, or I don't know about these people, when it's professional wrestling? It's not like they're running for office. It's not like, they're choosing to be role models or anything. These are people who beat up other people with foreign objects to maim and hurt them. It's not, and I think WWE kind of put that PG spin on it that we've been dealing with for decades now, where I think we're actually forgetting the fact that wrestling is a territory-based business where you get bad guys versus good guys, and they play characters on screen. I think that's we're kind of losing and mixing this. What is a shoot? What is kayfabe? And it's sort of hurting overall wrestling, except for companies like Impact who are going to say, you know what, we're just going to continue to be wrestling.
Yeah, and at what point do we acknowledge that people actually change and something someone says when they're young isn't what how they feel now, which leads us into Wes from the Rascals being released by WWE because of a picture that surfaced of him with a Hitler mustache and doing the salute, which I assume was probably just done as a joke. And now the guy has lost his job.
And furthermore, but here's kind of what I think sent I don't know if you saw this, but his wife, Kimberly, sent out the pictures of her with bruises on her face with claims of assault. And I think that was probably the nail in the coffin. And if those reports are true, then rightfully so.
And then the next day tweeted how proud she was of him after he won the NXT. So
right. I think it's one of those things where he'll be released, got to figure out what is and then it's setting off this weird precedence of what is the penance for these people. We saw Sammy Guevara actively say, he wanted to rape Sasha Banks, right? And then he's suspended for 2 weeks, and then the next week he's he's winning a championship. So how can you, say, "Oh, I have this stance," and then go ahead and then
Yeah.
just not practice what you preach? It's just so weird to me.
Comic Book Bob says she took down the tweet too. You mentioned Sammy Guevara. Can we talk about him? Is he and Takani the most unbearable couple on in TV and wrestling right now?
Yes.
Uh, Brandy Rhodes. We got rid of Brandy Rhodes, but we were punished with something far worse, and that's Sammy and Ty.
I think this storyline is so forced, and I think this is really changing my perspective on Sammy Guevara as a performer, because we saw when he went to Impact, or he was supposed to go to Impact to build the crossover, he threw a fit, stormed out, and said, "They don't have anything for me," yada, yada, yada. Now we're seeing him basically shoehorn this real relationship that he has with another wrestler that we're supposed to enjoy it and like it. I just can't stand those two. I can't stand Sammy Guevara anymore. I feel like since he took the strap off of Miro, the TNT title has just plummeted into almost obscurity now.
I'll tell you what I am enjoying, though. America's Top Team trashing Sammy and Ty. Ethan Page had some great lines this past Rampage, I believe.
Mhm.
And I can't stand those two. Get them off my TV, Phil.
Yes, they're now getting X-Pac heat.
Yeah. Just absolutely terrible. So unless there's anything else you'd like to touch on, let's start talking about WrestleMania.
All right, let's go on Mania.
All right, we'll start with night one. So we got it started off, man, with the Usos versus Nakamura and Boogs, and man, my heart broke for Rick Boogs.
Seeing that, so during WrestleMania, I was doing my homework and I had it off to the side. And when Boogs picked him up and that knee buckled, I was just like, that poor guy.
Yeah, you could tell plans were quickly altered, and they just went home as as quick as they could on that match. It looks like Boogs is going to be out a long time too.
Yeah. Do you think this ends does Boogs come back as Boogs, or is it just like or does he just fade away?
I have a feeling we won't ever see Boogs again, Phil.
I agree.
And it looks like Nakamura is going to start a feud with Roman, and the Usos are going to go after the Raw Tag Team Championship.
There is some pictures floating around. Did you see the proposed new Universal, the Undisputed Championship?
I did.
With the gold leather strap?
Yeah, I saw it.
I think I gotta say, this is probably the smartest thing WWE has done in quite some time, is take it all back to one title, one heavyweight championship, one set of tag team titles. Maybe, who knows, maybe they combine the Intercontinental and US Championship have done nothing so far. Maybe unify that title, just bring it back to basics. And I think Monday was a good turn for that after WrestleMania.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more. Next up, I don't know what order these matches happened. I'm going to say it was the Mysterios versus Miz and Logan Paul. This was actually one of my favorite matches of WrestleMania weekend. Logan Paul was fantastic. Sign this man to a contract full time, Phil.
All three quote unquote celebrity matches were awesome.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is one of the best WrestleManias that WWE's put out there in a long, long time. There was fun stuff, celebrities, but Logan Paul, signed that man, because I think he's got a future doing this.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to see more between Miz and Logan Paul after the Miz turned on him. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe SummerSlam, Miz versus Logan Paul.
Who's going to be the face?
I think Logan Paul's going to be the face.
I agree.
He was fantastic. I loved his outfit. I loved that he had his $5 million Pikachu card around his neck. The guy's a star.
That Three Amigos was amazing.
Yeah, he's a natural, man.
Yeah.
Next up, Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. How many times have we seen these guys wrestle, Phil?
This match was notable for one reason. That the first time anyone's kicked out of the End of Days by Corbin. And I don't know if that's a good thing because just on Friday Night SmackDown, they tried to make Madcap Moss be a face over Corbin. They clearly have. This was just to get some guys some WrestleMania checks.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. There's nothing else that really needs to be said about that match. Let's talk Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. I thought Becky's new look, terrible.
I thought the opposite. I thought, keep this look, Becky. I love this. This is the next direction she has to go in. There, you can no longer be this ass kicker, big time Bex. You have to almost go into this emo goth downward spiral. I hate everything gimmick.
Comic Book Bob says nobody can escape the pull of Baron Corbin's mid-card vortex.
I mean, Drew McIntyre, it was a hard sell a few years ago to beat beat Brock. Let's just say what it is. He's not the most charismatic guy in the world. He doesn't connect with the fans very well. Whenever you got to start pumping the crowd up for your finisher, you're not HBK, bro. Like, you are actively saying, come on, guys, where he's just like a taunt.
So Bianca Belair is your new Raw Women's Champion. No surprise there, Phil.
No, I think this is one of the few matches we agreed upon.
Yeah. We get I believe then it was time for Seth Rollins and his mystery opponent. I know everyone knew it was Cody, but I was worried we were going to get Shane McMahon.
I don't know if it was because it was in a huge stadium in Dallas, but that ovation I didn't quite hear.
Yeah. That I don't know. I thought the whole presentation of Cody was fantastic. It was his AEW presentation. They didn't change a thing. Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Which is funny because AEW, he was getting booed for months.
Yeah.
Here, the fans loved him. His whole thing was from undesirable to undeniable. That's him now because everyone loves him in the WWE. Everyone hated him in AEW.
Did you see his promo on Monday night?
I did.
I think it's a great story. I like the fact that he came out and he goes, I'm not here to do this or bury the other guys. Like, he was very, the story makes sense. In a storyline perspective, he lost the ability to win the championship in his current promotion. And he can only fulfill the promise he made to his dad of being world champion in a promotion where he has a chance to win the World Heavyweight Championship. It's why I picked Cody Rhodes as the wrestler of the year 2 years ago. It's that innate storyline where you can take it to any wrestling company and put it on any night of the week, and anyone can watch and connect and listen and be engaged. And now I'm looking to the big match is going to be Cody versus Roman, the bloodline, the undefeated, title defenses against the promise you made to your dad. It's good stuff.
Do we at any point, because the feud eventually is coming, Cody versus Roman and the bloodline, do we get a legacy reunion with Ted Jr. coming back.
We get a legacy reunion, but I'm not sure it's gonna be Teddy there. I would probably say someone like a Dominic Mysterio.
Maybe just Matt Riddle fills in. I wouldn't want Dom if I'm going to war.
No, but they got to shoehorn him in anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So yeah, Cody presented like an absolute superstar. They didn't protect his finisher that well. It took 3 of his finishers to put Seth away. They had me hooked. I thought when Seth hit the pedigree, I was like, oh, they're going to humble him on his first match.
I didn't. I honestly I don't know if I was expecting more from the match, but watching it, I felt Seth Rollins outshine Cody in the ring as a performer. But I don't know where they're going to go with this Seth Rollins Cody Rhodes thing. Maybe it's just a further whatever storyline.
Right. Next up, Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte retains. Are you surprised, Phil?
Very surprised, but I'm also very glad they did it.
Yeah.
Because you could go 2 ways with this. You can either put a storyline around Ronda Rousey, or you can put a storyline around Charlotte Flair. And they chose to put the storyline around Ronda Rousey, which is I enjoy because I think she's such a train wreck, and I think we're going to just see her. I think it's going to be the same thing as last time. She's going to end up getting booed, and no one's going to like her, and it's just going to be failed experiment round 2. So I am all for it.
Apparently, she stormed out of the Hall of Fame when she found out she wasn't main eventing night 1. So Ronda not making many friends.
Yeah.
Comic Book Bob says Cody's good, but Seth is a better in-ring performer.
I hate his presentation, though. I hate everything about Seth Rollins outside of what he does in the ring. I hate his whatever gimmick it is. His theme music is the absolute worst theme music I've ever heard in professional wrestling. It is such hot garbage. It doesn't know if it wants to be sing-song, burn it down. It's much like Seth Rollins' history in the WWE. You don't know what character he is. You don't know what his gimmick really means. And he just either laughs maniacally or he says, I do it for you guys. So I just think I want to love Seth Rollins and I want to love Cody Rhodes, and I can't for either during that match.
Comic Book Bob wants the Kingslayer back.
Yeah, I want something where he actually has a gimmick. Like the architect, what was he wasn't building anything. He wasn't building devious plans or anything. He wasn't building jack. So
well, I think they realized the other 2 guys in the Shield were more over, so they had to give him something.
Yeah, they were like, wait a second.
We should have had Kingslayer versus the Thronebreaker. Match.
It's a Triple H and a corner match.
Yeah. All right, main event time. The KO show with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, you thought it was just going to be a quick squash. We got a full-on brawl throughout the arena. This match was a lot of fun. I
was so glad I was so wrong. And I shrieked when Austin took that back bump on the floor. Yeah. I went, but all's well that ends well. Kudos to Austin and kudos for Owens for. Yeah. I mean, if you were Owens, of course you'd want a match. Even if you were going to get your ass kicked, of course you'd want a match with Stone Cold.
Yeah, shout out to KO. He re-signed with WWE, and a lot of people said, oh, he's crazy. He just main evented WrestleMania against Stone Cold Steve Austin. How awesome is that?
And Monday, with that promo he had against Ezekiel, he's slowly getting the fans back on his side by just being himself, making fun of whoever. And I think this is a reinvention of Kevin Owens. I think he probably did check out. He probably saw the writing on the wall when his contract was nearing. And WWE made him an offer he couldn't refuse, and he's being rewarded with it.
Yeah. Did you notice Stone Cold got better as the more beer he drank? Because he was a
Oh,
little slow at first.
I think he just had to knock off the rust or either forget about it.
Yeah. Someone tweeted, and I thought this was hilarious. Stone Cold Steve Austin drinks beer like the Cookie Monster eats cookies. It's just a mess. Most of it doesn't make it in his mouth, but he's having a good time.
And it wasn't the last we saw Austin.
Yeah. So he brought his brother into the ring at the end of the match. I was waiting for him to stun his brother. The only one who survived Stone Cold's wrath.
Yes.
All right, let's move over to night 2. So I think night 1 was the better night, but there were some good matches here that I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start off. I don't know the order of these matches, but let's start off with the match that got bumped from night 1. We had Sheamus and Ridge Holland defeating the New Day. I'm going to tell you something. This is my hot take of the night, Phil. Butch is way more over with me than Pete Dunne ever was. I love Butch.
That sign on WrestleMania. So we're going with Butch now, huh? Killed me. It was amazing. I think Pete Dunne looks so mad and so pissed that this is who he is. He is Butch.
I love the character though. Like he lost his debut yesterday or Friday, and he like was so pissed off he shoved Sheamus down. They have to like console him and stuff. He's just like this little crazy wild man.
Do you think Vince McMahon saw West Side Story and was just like, wait a second, hold on. I got some Irish fellows, and they're like, no, 2 of them are British. I don't care. I got some Irish fellows who, if you really put in a wife beater and jeans, they can snap their way to victory.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, Butch is winning me over. I hope he gets a nice long run.
Oh God.
All right. Are you surprised Sheamus and Ridge got the victory, especially after Kofi and King Woods came out in their Big E tribute gear?
No, I wasn't. The New Day's what the New Day is. They're an act that long overstayed their welcome.
And it looks like they're already dropping the King Woods gimmick too.
Yeah, I mean, they failed to capitalize on, like we said they would. They failed to capitalize on an Xavier Woods King heel turn. They failed Big E as a champion, and Kofi has been in limbo ever since he had his 8-second squash against Brock, and they've done nothing of importance since. So they are you have an act that's been around for over a decade that's stale, or you got this crew of weirdos and Butch. So
yeah. All right, let's talk the Raw Tag Team Championship match. RK Bro versus Street Profits versus the Alpha Academy. I'm surprised RK Bro retains. They bring Gable Stevenson into the ring, and I had no idea about Gable Stevenson's checkered past. Phil, did you? Because it hit the internet as soon as he started appearing on TV.
I did not, but you wasted all the talent in the ring for Gable Stevenson or Steveson or whatever they're going to call him.
Yeah.
For this moment, and you expected night 2 to be better? Okay.
And Gable took off his shirt, and he was the least intimidating looking guy in the ring.
Yeah, I even bought Otis as a bigger ass kicker.
Yeah, well, Otis, I think, is a legit ass kicker. The guy is like built like a house. Leandro says Butch debut was disappointing. I wanted to see more of a mad dog, but he lost the match like a puppy. But then his madman switch turned on with his buddies after the loss. Yeah, Yeah, no, he's a fun character. He's a character now, Phil, instead of a wrestler. I like it.
I'm all for character, so let's see how it goes.
All right. Next up, Bobby Lashley versus Omos. Omos gets his first defeat. Did you see Bobby Lashley's head smack off the ring post?
Did you? Yes. And because there were two things that happened during night 2 of WrestleMania that absolutely killed me. And Bobby Lashley's head popping off the ring post was one of them.
Yeah.
That was just, but why? I mean, was it all for the MVP turn to give Omos a manager?
Yeah, I really like the MVP Lashley pairing, so I hate to see them end it. I also thought they could have got a lot more mileage out of the whole Lashley, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the WWE has a problem on knowing when to end gimmicks and basically just when to end gimmicks. You could the Hurt Business had way much more time left than the New Day, for instance.
All right, next up, another one of our celebrity matches: Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville. The whole Jackass crew got involved. This match was a lot of fun. Kind of a little bit of a misfire with the end of the match, the finish with the human-sized mousetrap not exactly working as well as they would hope, but it was fun.
It was a clever finish to have the giant mousetrap pin Sammy's shoulders down, so no matter what he couldn't kick out, and it's good. I think Sammy. Only someone like, and I bet you Sami Zayn does get rewarded down the line.
Yeah. I like the move with the big giant hand smacking Sami Zayn. Did you see Mark Henry's tweet? Proud of his son. Hilarious.
This was one of the matches where I actually stopped working to watch the whole thing from start to finish because it was so entertaining.
Yeah. Comic Book Bob says Hurt Business was great, so of course Vince and his brain trust had to wreck it. Yep, absolutely. Next up, Women's Tag Team Championship. Naomi and Sasha defeat Carmella and Queen Zelina, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, and Natalya and Shayna Baszler to become the new champions. This match was kind of a throwaway match for me. I was pulling for Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, though, just based on their outfits.
So would you rather have, here we go, here's the scenario.
Right.
Would you rather have Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan win that match and continue to, and be champions and continue a storyline together? Or do you want to just see Rhea Ripley beat the ungodly hell out of Liv Morgan next Monday and join Edge's faction?
I'd rather see them as a team.
Oh man, on Monday when they're like, "Where were you?" and she was like, "I was getting a tag team title match." I am so for Rhea Ripley just absolutely destroying Liv Morgan and giggling like a schoolgirl the entire time.
Yeah, that's the talk that she's going to be part of Edge's new crew, and as well as Tommaso Ciampa is another name rumored to be part of that new stable. The new Brood. I don't know.
I'd rather them, and that's what I love. I think I'm loving this Edge heel turn. I'm loving the presentation of it all. Him almost coming full circle and being the new Gangrel is fabulous.
All right. Speaking of, what is going on? Do you hear that, Phil?
No.
I don't know. I have a sound and I don't know where it's coming from. Some sort of commercial is playing.
I have nothing playing anywhere.
I don't know.
It's probably coming from one of the results sites. An ad probably popped up.
Oh, I can't find it anyway. Yeah, I guess it was, but I can't. I lost all the matches, Phil, because I had to
But
close it. But let's talk about Edge versus
Mhm.
AJ Styles. I thought this match was a real disappointment.
I agree. First of all, second thing that cracked me up and was the omen that this match wasn't gonna go as necessarily as planned. AJ Styles came out to the ring with his cheek bloody, and if you see it, he walks into the WrestleMania thing as he's walking out. And there's video of it online of him just going like his like because when he walked out he didn't have his hood. I
Yeah.
was like this is really weird, but he banged his face against the WrestleMania set so hard it knocked his hoodie off.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened. I thought maybe he got burned by one of the sparks from his pyro.
Mhm.
But yeah, then I read that he walked into the into the WrestleMania sign.
I-
But yeah, this was disappointing. I think you could have still got to the same point with Edge's new stable and had Edge lose.
I think it was so overbooked.
Yeah.
And I think it's they were trying to put the cart before the horse. Is that they knew where they were going after this match. And I think they purposely left a lot of meat on the bone, so to speak. This almost feels like AJ's. Remember that first match between AJ Styles and um, John Cena and Chris Jericho, where we were just like, I would have expected a better match between
Yeah.
these guys. And then by the time they had their second match, it was just lights out, phenomenal. I think it's the same thing that I think it's part of it. I think it's an AJ Styles storyline is that they leave a lot of meat on the bone in a dream match, and then at a random pay-per-view, you kind of get the match you were expecting at Mania.
Hmm. Yeah. So Damian Priest comes out, distracts AJ, helps Edge get the victory. This is the new stable we're talking about that Rhea Ripley and Tommaso Ciampa are rumored to be a part of. Do you think those two are going to end up joining?
Rhea Ripley, yes. Champa, no. I originally thought maybe yes, but I think he'll probably end up on a SmackDown away from that whole situation.
Yeah. Next up, another celebrity match. This match was fantastic. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. Pat McAfee's the man. He is awesome in the ring, but we already knew that, Phil, because we watched his feud with Adam Cole.
Yeah, whenever you put a professional athlete in the ring, more times than not, they're actually going to perform well because it's just the same thing they've been doing. It's just athletic maneuvers, just positioned in a way to tell a story. So like athletic maneuvers positioned to put on a play that's called. And Pat McAfee is just so charismatic that this from start to finish, this was entertaining. I'm glad he picked up the win.
Yes, and his first match he did, but then he had to wrestle a second match against Mr. McMahon, which this was not good. This was terrible.
This was I don't know if this was just an entire build-up for Austin to come out, or if they're going to do anything with this in the future. I banking on the former, but I'm hoping for the latter.
Yeah, I think it was just a way to get Stone Cold out
Mhm.
there and stun everyone, including Pat McAfee. But I'm sure he has no problems with
You know
taking a
what?
stunner.
I immediately thought when they put on that second match and he was getting beat up by Theory and they were playing it off as, the referee, he works for McMahon. Of course he's not going to call it. I was wondering, are they purposely having him wrestle a second match to lose so they can't be like, oh, undefeated streak at WrestleMania? It's kind of put that whole bed to rest, considering they were going to honor the Undertaker the next moment.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know what the thinking of was it, but man, Vince needs to be out of the ring. He I mean, he's yeah, he looks terrible. I mean, he's still built, but yeah, he's
Even like the Stone Cold stumble.
Yeah. Stone Cold was laughing at
I like how I like how Austin didn't even kick him again. He literally just picked him up and just dropped down. And then
Yeah.
Vince played like he died.
Mm-hmm. So I guess next we get they honor the Undertaker, and then it's I believe then it's main event time, right, Phil?
Mm-hmm.
And Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, and we both expected Roman to win, which he did, but I think there was something with the finish. Did Roman get hurt?
The whole finish was weird. The whole match, I don't know. I don't think anyone got hurt. I think it was more the fact that they were trying to prolong a match that was just finisher, finisher, finisher,
Yeah.
finisher, signature, signature, finisher, signature, finisher, back and forth. That they're like, oh my God, Brock Lesnar, he can't be stopped. He can't be defeated no matter how many spears and Superman punches. And then they said, oh, how many suplexes,
Right.
and how many F5s can Roman Reigns take? Where I think it was actually played out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, wasn't a great match. I'm happy that Roman is now our undisputed champion, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing if the Usos can become the unified tag team champions. I think this would be good. Like you were saying, for storylines, get them going back and forth between brands. If Roman really is the top guy in WWE, he should be on both shows.
Do you think they also give the secondary titles to the Usos? Like the Intercontinental in the United States?
Honestly, it would bring more prestige to him.
Yeah, I honestly think that's the way you got. Don't even give it to Roman because Roman's character is he's above.
Yeah.
He's like above secondary titles and any other titles. He just wants to be the head of the table. So I think it would be amazing if you're watching, Kevin Dunn, if you're watching this, make sure you add the secondary titles to the Usos just to bring the whole bloodline over.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Leandro says it was like the last Rock and Cena match, over and over signature move. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that does it for WrestleMania, Phil. Which night did you think was better?
Night one, I think better matches, better storylines. I think night two, there was a lot of disappointment with, and I think we saw Austin on night one. So the second night was kind of like, oh, this is fun. I wasn't as interested. Like when the glass shattered on night one, where I was like, okay,
yeah,
this is going down. As opposed to when night two when the glass shattered, like, oh, Austin's going to send the crowd home happy. And just the Roman Brock match was a major letdown. The AJ Styles Edge match was a letdown. I just think it was overall it lacked a lot.
Yeah. No, night one was one of the most fun WrestleManias in a long time.
Yep.
Night two, I checked out right after the AJ Edge match. I was like, I'll watch the rest in the morning because this match put me to sleep.
Yeah.
But that Pat McAfee match was the match of the night for night two.
Yeah, I think Austin Theory is. I would not be surprised. Austin Theory is a main eventer in probably 3 years.
Yeah, no, I can see it happening. So Phil, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at AnimatedPhil.
Leandro says, side question, do you think Malin will unify the Fragtober Championship? You know what? If anyone can do it, John Malin can do it. Who's the other champion? Rennie? Easy victory for John. He'll be John 2 belts in no time. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves. Make sure you subscribe to Primetime Poulton. Hit the notifications. Cowboy Phil and I, now that school's over, are we back to twice a week, Phil?
So I will be officially done starting next Monday.
All right. So not this week.
Not
maybe
this week,
the
following week. It's back to twice a week.
And you're going to start drawing a certain comic book starring PCO, right?
I am so stoked, which I have a couple questions for you off air. So,
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back at some point next week for another
yes.
pod, guys. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.